Yo, what's going on, fellow YouTubers, subscribers, returning viewers, all you lovely people? Thanks so much for tuning in with me today. Whether you're here to learn about Pit's combos, as the title suggests, or whether you're trying to learn how to DI or get out of his combos if you're having trouble against him, or you just like the character as much as I do. A little bit about myself. I've been playing Smash ever since I was little. I played all the titles like 64, Melee, and so on. But I didn't really get into the competitive side until Smash 4 around 2015. So I've been doing this a good 4 years or so now. So I like to think I kind of know what I'm talking about. So I just decided to make this video to share some of my knowledge with you guys and show you some of the things that I found out with this character thus far. Icarus Uprising is my favorite game of all time, and that's probably what I would be playing competitively if people were actually online and it wasn't on the 3DS, which is pretty unfortunate, I think. Once that game ever does get to port to the Switch, maybe that's what I'll be doing instead, but that's neither here nor there. Yeah, I just had to just come play Smash if I wanted to do something with one of my favorite video game characters in a metagame that actually has people in it. Now, just as a quick disclaimer, all of these combos are being tested on a level 9 CPU with the training room shuffle, as most of us knows as DI. The shuffle is turned on a lot. You can toggle it between a little, a lot, or none at all. And even though it's on a lot, the CPU doesn't really try its best to really DI away or jump out of or air dodge out of any sort of combos. So all of these are going to be a little different on actual human players that are trying to get out of your combos. But for the most part, these combos are either going to be true or just very hard to get out of, or read based. So I'm not really trying to show you guys anything that's like really out there or that isn't gonna net you consistent damage or kills. And the way this video is going to be formatted is I'm going to go over all of Pit's attacks, starting with his ground attacks, aerials, and then his specials, and of course I can't forget grabs. I'm just gonna go over each move just to show you guys how to follow up on each of them, or if the move has the capacity for Pit to be able to make a follow-up off of it, and if not, I'll also specify that as well. But yeah, with all the introductory out of the way, let's get right into it. So the first move we're going to start off with is Pit's jab. Now, it being a jab, obviously there's not a whole lot you can do with it combo-wise, especially in this game when they kind of force you to finish the actual full-length jab. In Smash 4 with Pit, you were able to cancel jab 1 into pretty much anything you wanted, whether it was grab, down tilt, something that was fast enough to catch the opponent before they could jump away or just dash out of whatever you're trying to do. However, in this game, with jab being a lot slower to actually do anything out of jab 1, it's a lot less viable of an option. Jab 1 into grab or jab 1 into down tilt. It's still kind of there if the opponent doesn't do anything about it in time, but most good players are just going to react to you properly, and just it's not really as much of an option in neutral as it used to be, but just it's still a good tool in neutral. It has good spacing, and unfortunately they removed perfect pivot, which was one of my favorite movements, especially with jab, where I could just walk to my opponent, and if I wanted to just throw out a safe quick move to actually follow up on them with a grab, I could just perfect pivot that, and that was just always a thing. So jab remains the same, not really a whole lot you can do out of it, except in this game, when you actually have someone in a lock position, or if you knock someone back and they miss their tech, you can actually lock with Pit's jab. I believe most of the cast can do that. There's very few characters that can't, but Pit's fortunate enough to be one of them. And I think they removed his dare lock with how he used to be able to just throw people or send them flying, and if they missed their tech, he could just knock them with dare. But it's not too big of a loss when we have jab, and then you can do something immediately. Not immediately, like I just said, but there's enough time for you to do something afterwards before the opponent can escape. So That's the only real way it's been changed in this game. Also, the one matchup, I'd say it's pretty crucial to know the differences between the how to do the gentleman jab and the rapid jab is definitely Bowser. A couple of weeks ago, I played a Bowser in bracket, and I either forgot or didn't know that they both tough guy, and my homie is just walking through rapid jabs at like 130, 140, and just side being me and punishing me for it. I'm like, what in the world? So yeah, and they changed the input for the gentleman jab. I think it's like double tap, hold A. So that's definitely something you want to do in that matchup, so you don't just take a shit ton of damage for actually punishing Bowser. So that's just one thing to know. But yeah, other than that, jab's pretty much the same. Not much you can do about it. Or excuse me, not much you can do off of it. Now on to F-tilt. As many of us already know, F-tilt has never been one of Pit's combo tools exactly. In Smash 4, previous to what I was just talking about, as far as the lock scenarios go, whenever you launch someone and they miss their tech, for some reason Dark Pit is weaker than Pit's in knockbacks, so if you had someone in a tech position, you could actually just go for F-tilt at lower percentages to actually lock them, but that's not been removed because thankfully Dark Pit's F-tilt actually has the same amount of knockback as Pit. Me personally, that was always the reason I would go with Pit. Like, yeah, side B stronger. It's nice to have, especially at those to get those early cheesy kills. But I mean, you have a much safer spacing tool than Dark Pit's electroshock arm, which was huge. But they fixed that in this game. It's not really a whole lot you can do. Like I said, the combo off of it. This little combo I got right here, it's sort of true, but that's really about all you can get out of it, as far as I know. But yeah, it's still one of his best killing tools, and similar to jab, it's, in my opinion, been a little nerfed because there's no longer perfect pivots. Not only that, the F-tilt used to inch Pit forward just a little bit whenever he went for it, but in this game he kind of remains stagnant. That can be both good and bad, but me personally, I have to get used to actually having to walk in F-tilt as opposed to having an opponent on ledge. Let's say I want to predict the normal get up, I can just space myself outside their attack. F-tilt inches me forward, and I get a tipper, and that's my kill. It's a little different in this game, so you do have options like the dash, pivot, cancel, or tilt cancel, I should say. But yeah, not really a combo option. So on to the next move, which is going to be down tilt. Now, Pit's down tilt, a move that's been heavily buffed, probably the most buffed move in his arsenal, in my opinion. Mainly because that move in Smash 4 did absolutely nothing for him. It didn't set up for combos, it didn't kill. It would like sort of win neutral for him if you got to get poked with it, but that was really about it. In this game, it finally actually does something, which is choose a move in his arsenal to just follow with the position that it sends them in. You can follow with damn near anything, up smash, nair. I think pretty much all of his aerials actually can combo out of down tilt, so that's definitely a huge plus. But of course, up smash, there's always going to be one, and I believe that's about it off the top of my mind. But first option we're going to cover is down tilt, down air. Now, what you need to know about down tilt, down air is down air is actually one of, if not Pit's best combo tool, at least when it comes to his aerials. But down tilt, it's gonna do wonders for you. Like if you get it, I think when you're playing Pit and neutral, down tilt is definitely an option that you should just abuse. It's quick, has almost no lag, and it sets up pretty much everything for you. It can even set up kills with back air at times, which I'll get into it in a little bit. But yeah, first option we're gonna cover is down tilt, down air, and I just wanted to kind of knock the aerials out of the park real quick. And what you need to know about down air is, I think unlike all of his other aerials, they don't auto cancel on fast fall. It does auto cancel on just if you just do it regularly, which can hinder the success in his combo game, depending on the character you're playing against. And I picked Mario for the video because he's pretty much the most average weight and fall speed you can get in the game, as well as the size of his hurt box. His height is a bit on the shorter end. In fact, I'd say Pit's probably like average male height compared to Mario. But yeah, as far as down air goes, you really can't fast fall it because you'll have a bit less lag than as opposed to just leaving it alone after you use it whenever you're in the air. So this can allow people to escape from this combo that you're seeing on screen, but yeah, it's just an option if the opponent doesn't do anything to get out of it. Not saying that it's entirely true, but not saying that everybody's gonna get out of it like willy-nilly. Some characters might get hit by it, like Bowser, K-Rool, some of the heavies. But if you do get the down tilt down air set up, this is just one of the options that you can go for, and that's down tilt down air and down tilt down air. The only reason you'd repeat it is just to rack up more damage, so next time you go for the down air, like I said before, depending on character weight, size, and fall speed, next time you get the down air, you want to be able to carry them in the air, because down air is one of Pit's strongest options when it comes to his combo game. It's really not something the opponent can always jump out of willy-nilly. It does require Pit to follow DI. Like if they DI up, you might want to move Pit upwards as you jump for the next down air. But and as well as to the side if they're trying to DI out. So those are like the main variables, is just following character DI and just knowing how it works on certain character weight classes, percentages, all that good shit. Now for down tilt forward air, a combo that can be considered a bit truer than the down tilt down air. What you need to do with the forward air is actually short hop fast fall after the down tilt, so you can get a regrab, and from there you can pretty much just do anything you want. And I'll get into the grabs later as far as what you can get into. But basically, all you want to do is short hop and fast fall the forward airs. That way you can grab the opponent, and you can even though the training room combo counter isn't entirely trustworthy, what I do to make sure that I can get these combos as fast as possible is just abuse the buffer system. It is something I kind of hated at first, just because I wasn't able to move and do combos the way I was basically used to in Smash 4. And even nowadays, like whenever I do a combo that relies on full hop, the new automatic short hop mechanic just really hindered me in a lot of places. So what I did was just start using the buffer to Pit's advantage. All you need to know about down tilt, if you do start a combo with down tilt and you want to follow it with an aerial, abusing the new automatic short hop mechanic is actually probably the most viable way to do any combo out of it, because what I was doing right here is just down tilt, automatic short hop forward air, and I fast fell, and then I can immediately go for another down tilt because all of his aerials can auto cancel. Like I said earlier, the only one that really can't auto cancel on fast fall is down air. But I think pretty much all the cast, if not the majority, can do that now. It was special in Smash 4 because he could do all that, but of course his hitboxes leave a little something to be desired in that department. So yeah, in this game, he still pretty much has that same advantage of being able to fast fall and auto cancel almost all of his aerials bar down air. So yeah, in this little combo right here, I just down tilt, automatic short hop forward air, and fast fall, and then I can immediately go for another down tilt. And this stops working on Mario, who's, like I said, is a midweight, after the first down tilt forward air, which I'm gonna use to relate to this combo. So you can get one down tilt forward air, and I tried getting a second one afterwards, but it was a little inconsistent, so I didn't really want to like go over it. I'm pretty sure any Mario, if they tried, could jump out of it, but it is kind of there, like for heavies to an extent. I know Ridley, for some reason, like even more so than, like he's more susceptible to some of Pit's combos than even Bowser and K-Rool. Maybe it's because of his hurt box, I don't know. Nigga's just big as fuck.
Pause.
Yes, the automatic short hop mechanic is pretty much going to apply to all of the aerials out of down tilt, and it'll kind of go the same for some of his other moves and grabs. I'll try to cover that as I go through the video. Another common trend throughout this video is I'm just gonna try to give you guys like basically what you can do at the start of a combo. Like I want you guys to be able to do the most out of a combo like after you start it. So like down tilt, short hop forward air, for instance. You can do down tilt, short hop forward air, down tilt into you know, whatever you can think of after that, or you can do down tilt, short hop forward air, re-grab, not re-grab, but grab. And I say re-grab a lot because that is sort of an option out of down throw, short hop forward air, which again I'll get to later in the video. But yeah, I'm not gonna try to like cover everything that I do like later on in the video. As you see, you know, me carrying Mario off stage into some miscellaneous stuff. Like those are just kind of ideas and things you can do later on in the combo if you are able to pull it off on an opponent that, you know, probably isn't paying attention to their DI, or if you actually read their DI properly. But for the most part, yeah, like I said, I'm just gonna give you guys like the most you can do at the start of a combo. So like I said before, this I'm just referring to as down tilt, short hop forward air, down tilt, and then you also, like I said, have down tilt, short hop forward air, grab. But yeah, that's about it for down tilt. The only two grounded options you can go for out of down tilt at lower percents is up smash or up tilt, and from there you can go for almost any aerial you can think of and just kind of extend it as much as you can from there. Of course, depending on the opponent's DI, whether or not they're trying to jump out of it, or like I said earlier, most of the stuff that I'm doing to extend the combo off stage is you know, very situational, but in most cases, like if your opponent doesn't have a jump, for example, yeah, they're not going to be able to do much about it, especially with air dodge being so much weaker in this game. And down tilt short hop dare kind of stops being a thing on Mario around the 30% mark. I think it works up to around 40 maybe, but that was 30% was the percentage I got it the most consistently anyways. Around 50%, and maybe even on upwards, you can get down to full hop down air. And of course, this kind of gauges between heavies and lightweight characters. So if it works on Mario at like 30, down to short up there, it probably stops working on lightweights around 20, maybe a little earlier. So full hop there is always an option though. And what I do to make my down tilt into any aerials more consistent is, of course, just buffer the jump. It depends on what kind of aerial you're going for. If you go for a short hop aerial, you want to use the new mechanic that allows you to hold the jump and attack button, which automatically performs the short hop. Or if you want to do a full hop, what I did was change one of my shoulder buttons to jump. And while Pit's in his throw animation, or excuse me, I'm sorry, I haven't gotten to throws quite yet, but I will explain that later as I go on, like I said. But in this case, while Pit's in the down tilt animation, I'll just hold the jump button, and he'll go straight up immediately. Now you do have to time the attack, otherwise you'll dare too soon, and then you can still get the short hop version. But that's how I make sure I get my combos as fast as possible, so no one's able to jump out of it or do anything out of it immediately. Alright, so for the next aerial you can go for after down tilt is neutral air, which I think is pretty inferior to forward air just by nature, because it requires Pit to, you know, thrust his arm out there, and then his blade hitbox can actually reach the opponent after he knocks them away from him. So neutral air, it's pretty situational. What I had to do a lot to get it was kind of buffer dash, and then from there just do the new automatic short hop thing. But if you do get neutral air, there are a few options you can go for, like another neutral air, or in this case what I'm showing right here, a forward air. And of course, as I said earlier, a forward air, if you fast fall it and just kind of time it, or not time it, excuse me, but if you fast fall it and follow the opponent's DI or just move forward with it, you can get a re-grab. And as I said earlier, if you move forward with the forward air, I say move forward with the forward air, but basically what I mean is, you know, as long as you maintain that momentum from the initial forward air and fast fall it at the last hit, you can grab the opponent and extend the combo even further. Yes, that's pretty much it for everything you can do out of down tilt. Like I said earlier, I believe short hop forward is probably the best option because it allows you to get a grab. You can go for another aerial, so on and so forth. But the second best option, I want to say, is down air because down air is easily just Pit's best, but it doesn't really work at lower percentages when unless you have the opponent like really high off the ground. So you could do it potentially on platforms, which I'll try to get into later. But yeah, that's about it as far as like what's true. Back air is kind of true, but yeah, like I said, you don't really get anything out of it forward air. And up air, which I didn't really cover like I should have. It can hit sometimes, but the angle that down tilt sends them at is really weird. Plus, up air doesn't really allow you to combo with anything after it hits. So the other aerials are going to be your main go-to after that option. Okay, so now onto aerials, which is really going to be the meat and potatoes of Pit's neutral, I should say. Like I mentioned earlier, all of them auto-cancel even on fast fall except for down air. And pretty much all of them you can go for and have some type of follow-up off of if you went neutral with them. Like I said, with his grounded segment, down tilt and jab, and a few other moves are going to be like your main go-to moves as far as like whether or not you want to space the opponent out or just try to whiff something that's far away with F tilt, or just start a combo with down tilt, which again I think is the best option. But when it comes to his aerials, I guess we can start with Nair, which was also a combo tool in Smash 4, but if you're a real trooper if you played Pit in that game. Like I'm with y'all on that. It was such a good move, but at the same time it wasn't because of that hitbox. Like it did everything for him, but if only it had the actual range that it looked like it did. But thankfully that's been buffed this game, and we can now actually kind of abuse it because it's big as hell. It starts combos. In fact, it combos into itself, and as you just saw in the last segment, it can combo to forward air. At certain percents, it can combo to down air, up air, depending on, like I said, the opponent's DI. But as far as the most basic stuff goes, and like what you can really get, like before I get into all the miscellaneous stuff after the real true shit. Just like the last segment with the ground attacks, I'll start by showing you what you can combo off of as far as ground attacks. So with neutral air, it's similar to down tilt. The only true follow-ups you can get with ground attacks, is up smash and up tilt. And it's actually one of the few moves that can true combo into up tilt, which of course can pop the opponent right above you, perfect position for another combo. But usually all you can get out of that is up air, which isn't bad. Like, it's definitely not his best combo tool, but in this game juggling's huge, so it's all the more better to just have him above you. And in this game, Pit's up air is definitely a kill move. So before I get into what combos off of neutral air as far as his aerial kick goes, I have to talk about the old Smash 4 like final hit Nair lock deal. So by final hit, I basically just mean the last two hits of neutral air. If you connect with just those last two hits with Pit, even at 0%, the opponent can just be sent flying and be forced into a tech situation, and if they miss, you can lock them. Now in Smash 4, you could lock them with F tilt on Dark Pit or down air with regular Pit. But in this game, I think that's been removed. I'm not entirely sure how jab locks work or in this game, or what you can truly get out of it, but I do know Pit, amongst many of the other characters, can at least jab block with their basic jabs. So, and of course you only get like 1, 2, and then you have to do something before the opponent is able to act out of it. But yeah, it actually still is a thing in this game, and oddly enough, the 0% mark is very, I guess, sensitive. Like, if you get the last hit, like if you go for neutral air and get 1 hit, the opponent doesn't really go anywhere for you to be able to combo off of. But if you get the last 2 hits, it actually sends them flying. But this is just at 0%. I was testing it out, and I put the CPU on 1%, and the last hit actually does send them flying. So it's a little specific in that regard, but in general, if you get the last just few frames of the neutral air, you can force the opponent into a tech situation. And if you do jab block them, you can go for pretty much anything: grab, down tilt, which I mentioned earlier is godlike, and many other things you can think of from there. So I just wanted to throw that in there before I get to what actually combos off of just his base neutral air. But yes, when playing Pit in neutral air is definitely one of the options you're going to be abusing the most, as well as forward air. And I like to abuse down air myself to an extent. I don't see a whole lot of Pits do it. Some of the really good ones, like Earth, for example, does. But and I haven't seen him play an ultimate like at all recently. But it is sort of an option. It's not as safe as forward air and neutral air. I think those are faster as far as the frames they come out on. But really, the thing is, I like to use it like kind of like Meta Knight's down there, where he kind of just spams it and abuses it, and if he does get one, he can kind of create a combo out of it. Pit's down there definitely is not as fast as Meta Knight. Not trying to say that at all, but if you do land it, the sour spot kind of sends it like right on Pit's level at the really low percents, and then kind of right above him at the like mid percents, which is perfect for combos. So and then you can kind of just chain down theirs from there. But yeah, those are some of my favorite things to do in neutral. And then of course you have up air is kind of a anti-air if the opponent likes full hopping anyways. I think up tilt is definitely the better anti-air when it comes to that. And then of course back air, which I think serves the same purpose as forward air. Just it's only really better at higher percents though, since you could actually get a kill off of it, unlike forward air, which stops comboing after a certain percentage. But yeah, those are just a few of the main things to look for when playing neutral Pit, and you're vying to look for some of his aerials to start off with. Okay, so first up is neutral air into itself. So neutral air can combo into neutral air, and from there you can get a forward air. Grab isn't really an option on midweights, and to be honest, I've yet to try it out on like a super heavyweight. I tried it on DK for a bit, but it wasn't really a thing because he'd still be in the air by the time I like immediately went for the grab. So it, in theory, should be something he and many of the other heavyweights should be able to get out of. But neutral air, forward air is kind of a thing. You also have dare, pretty much any aerial you can think of, and it kind of everything you do after that kind of starts being true. So yeah, definitely not as good as neutral air forward air in my opinion, which I'll get to in a bit. And you also have neutral air down air and of course neutral air back air. But like I said, back air isn't really too good of a combo tool until the higher percents where it's actually a kill move, but it's not really gonna combo after neutral air when at those higher percentages when neutral air just sends them too far. But back air can be a great option after the second neutral air, where it has you in the backwards position to be able to combo off of the I would say raw dare, but basically it's like turn around or backwards dare, which is amazing off stage because it basically just allows Pit to easily carry anybody, whether it be a midweight, lightweight, or heavy off stage. And with all that, neutral air does kind of stop being a combo tool after the 30 to 35% range on Mario. You could probably still get it a little higher on heavyweights still, of course, but for the most part, as you can see here, I'm using Pit's longest aerial, which is forward air. And it's bear as well, but I use forward air in this example because it's just the furthest reaching and the most immediate. And as you can see, it's barely hitting Mario after the neutral air around this percentage. So it's really not a combo tool after 30%, unfortunately. So it'd be nice if it had some usage afterwards, but for the most part, yeah, after this percent range, you're basically just going to be using it as a get off me tool, or if you just really want to have that quick aerial. Now, since pretty much all of Pit's aerials, bar dare and back air, are multi-hits, you can use drag down as a tactic. The only reason I don't like drag down that much is just the spacing it requires you to have to be able to actually catch the opponent with another move before they can act out of anything you try to do, because Pit is going to be in that little landing lag animation, and that's where you a lot of times will fail to get any sort of follow-up. Like I'll go over the other aerials in a bit, but neutral air, for instance, you can sort of use it to get like F smash and down smash at higher percents, and maybe a grab follow up or down tilt at the early percentages. But for the most part, yeah, it's not really my favorite thing to do, because if the opponent does shield, you're going to be in quite a bit of lag, whereas opposed to if you just did a regular short hop version, it's a lot safer. But it's still an option later on though. Now the best part about up tilt is definitely the fact that even at higher percentages, it still sends the opponent pretty much directly above pit and not too far at all. So even at higher percents, like the 130s and the 150s, you can still get a potential follow-up off of buffered full up air, I should say. And this is really good. Let's say you're having trouble killing off of any of your other grounded attacks, like down tilt, for instance. You can get down tilt back air, which I'll get to in a bit. But it definitely doesn't work as long, and that's just up tilt up air. So that's always going to be a kill option in the higher percent ranges for you guys that want to use that as an anti-air, or if you just want to try to two-frame someone on ledge, if they do a normal get up, any scenarios like that would be good for it, I think. Now onto up air, which is mainly a follow-up tool. Unless you're on platforms, you're not really going to be just up airing people out of nowhere, and so it's mainly used like to platform pressure and a stage without it, or even with it. You can use it to kind of anti-air people or just catch their landings. Again, this is just more of a juggling tool, but if you actually want to start a combo off of it, a really good one is definitely the fast fall version of it. There are a few hits on the move that kind of like basically they make the opponent slide to the left or right of pit, which is generally not what you want, but for the most part, it's pretty easy just to get the opponent to pop right above pit. And similar to up tilt, this is like pretty much a combo move at almost any percent. I've tested it out at even really high percents like 300 and 900. It pretty much always sends the opponent like right above pit. So definitely just a good move to start combos off with if you're confident in landing with it, if you're in disadvantaged state, for example. But in general, it's not the best combo starter, because unless you somehow cross up the opponent's shield, they can punish it. And the only times I've found myself using it is if I had like any type of like solid read, or I got a shield break and I wanted to go for it, or if the opponent's juggling me and they like say try to go for an aerial, I use one of Pit's jumps to kind of get above it, and then while they're trying to land, not trying to land, but as their character just falls back to the ground naturally, you can try to sneak it in. But for the most part, yeah, it's definitely not safe. Oh, damn, I'm sorry, that was my phone. But yeah, for the most part, it definitely isn't the safest option, but it is there, and it's certainly effective, mainly because of the fact that, again, it sends the opponent pretty much nowhere and you get a free follow-up. So back air, not really Pit's best combo tool. Like I said earlier, it's more of a kill move and a combo ender. However, if you get the weak spot at lower percentages, it can just leave the opponent in this awkward position where you can either follow up with a grab, another aerial, whatever. And here's an example of me doing it. So it is a little unsafe because you have to be right next to the opponent as opposed to trying to space at max range. But it's still an option. Like the main positions I found myself going for it is if I try to combo someone with down air, and instead of the sour spot down there, I get the sweet spot. And if you are able to react to it, you can kind of just go behind the opponent, try to sneak in a sour spot back here, and then basically just go from there. But yeah, for the most part, this move isn't really a combo tool. If you do get the sweet spot, at least the heavier characters, you can kind of go for F tilt immediately afterwards. But this again, not really a thing. So alright, so for my favorite move, down air, which honestly I can't say for sure in this game. In Smash 4 it definitely was, just because of the combo potential and its overall like lack thereof. But in this game it's still just as good. And before I really get into what you can do out of it, you have to know the 3 variations of it. Really it's only 2, the sour and sweet spot. But I also like to consider the turnaround or raw dare as an option, because it does open up different options as opposed to, you know, just doing it regularly. As I mentioned earlier, you can do a backwards down air into back air, which is pretty amazing at high percentages when you just have the opponent off stage and you're in perfect position now just to kill them, basically. Now, as I said, the main con about this move is the fact that you can't fast fall it and have like completely, you know, zero lag like the rest of the aerials. You can fast fall it and there's like relatively low lag, but there's enough lag, I think, for the opponent to easily be able to escape out of whatever you're trying to do next. And unfortunately, with just the regular short hop version, you don't get to the ground fast enough, I don't think, to get anything true out of it. So that stuff I was doing earlier with like down tilt, down air, and to down tilt, definitely not the truest thing in the world, but you know, if your opponent, say, loses their jump or just doesn't react on time, it's still kind of there. So, but yeah, definitely a move you want to at least have some percentage on your opponent with already prior to using it. That way, once you do get the sour spot, you can just immediately jump again and then go for another one. And with Pit's 4 jumps, or really if you're going from the ground you have 3, but yeah, it's a total of 4, which is really good because it allows Pit to carry people either all the way into the air vertically or horizontally, and it's all DI dependent. If you really want to get those like down air combos, and like, you know, the multiple down airs, then it's all basically DI dependent. Like I tried it on the CPU, which was, like I said earlier, on shuffle. Really, the training room calls it shuffle, but basically I turned its DI on. Now, it isn't the best thing in the world, but I did notice sometimes I had to follow Mario to the left or right, and sometimes I had to make sure I jumped high enough to actually get the follow-up if he DI'd up at all. So those are just the main things to note when using this move, as I'll get into the rest of what you can do with it. And I believe Wizro made a video about this already, but when testing out down air, I was using down tilt as an example of like how fast you can act out of the fast fall down air and just regular down air. And yeah, it's definitely true, the fact that if you use C-stick for tilts like a lot, and like you just flick your stick a bunch of times, you basically aren't able to do any sort of tilts or anything with that same input. So it's definitely not like the biggest thing in the world, but it's still there, so it is kind of an issue that I hope they patch out. So yeah, it is there. Just thought I'd bring that up. Now, as I mentioned before, with down air, you definitely want some prior percentage on your opponent to make sure they're high enough in the air for you to just jump again with another immediate down air, so you can just keep following up after that. Whereas most of the time I was trying to 0%, it just wasn't really gonna happen. Again, I had some practice on them already. So one of my favorite setups to do if you're looking for down air specific combos is to grab the opponent, down throw, and short hop forward air into a regrab, and then by that point you already have enough percentage on them to just basically start abusing the move. And I'll get more into that setup later, but another good part about the move is definitely being able to, if you're good enough, switch between the sour and sweet spot. Now, when doing so, if you get the sour spot there, it's more like you're doing more like a rising dare. So like you want the dare to hit the opponent onto Pit's side basically, and then the opponent will pop up. If they're like directly below you, or sort of to the side but not directly to the side, you generally get the spike hitbox. But it's not that terrible as if you're able to just kind of mix the opponent up by getting a sour spot, and all of a sudden you got the sweet spot. It can lead into a plethora of other things, like right here on Kirby I get a spike into fast fall up air, which can work on several other characters as well. But and like I said earlier, with back air you can get the spike into just kind of fall behind them with a sour spot back air and then keep following up from there. So yeah. And as for reverse down air, it's definitely the superior combo option. when it comes to trying to carry people off stage. Like, when you really think about it, it just makes sense because when Pitt starts the down air, it's like on one side of him, then it has to curve all the way around him, or at least all the way underneath him, to hit the just the regular sour spot, which is kind of in front of him, if you know what I mean. So basically, like the combo I was doing earlier, or all those other combos I was showcasing to you guys, excuse me, earlier with the frontward down air. Those can still work for the most part, but it's just a little less viable than the reverse down air because of the active hitbox frames that all the hits are active. I don't know why I just repeated myself like that, but yeah, basically, if you're trying to hit with the frontward dare, it's gonna take a few more frames to actually reach the opponent, as opposed to where if you were turn around, you're already kind of just hitting them as soon as you hit the C stick or the A button, whatever you use to do your aerials with. But yeah, that's definitely crucial against characters with frame 3 nairs like Mario, or any sort of options that allow characters to get out of certain combos. Air dodge also comes out on frame 3, but again, you definitely don't want to be off stage or in any type of position where you have to air dodge against Pit, because he can't capitalize off that. And just like neutral air, the combo potential of sour spot down there definitely decreases the higher your opponent goes in percentage. At around mid-percent, I was only able to get like down air into another single hit, which definitely isn't bad. Like that's something Pitt can either kill off of, or just have the opponent in a very bad position to be in, just off of getting a sour spot there at around the 30, or really 30% is pretty good, but I guess I should say around the 50 to 70% mark is where you can only get like single hits, and it's definitely lower for the lighter characters. And of course, around the higher percentages, the down air, just the sour spot down air, basically just stops really working all that well. But however, sweet spot down air around the 80 to 90% spikes Mario, which is pretty good. Generally around the 150, 160 range is when down air spike into up smash or up air generally begins to stop being a thing as soon as the opponent's right above Pit. And for the heavy characters, it's about the 110, and I didn't test it out on the lightweights, but with Mario being around 90%, I imagine it's a little bit lower. I forget what the exact threshold is. I think it's different from Smash 4. I think I was able to spike Mario around the 80% mark, but in this game I was only able to get it at minimum, I think, like 90%. So yeah, those are really the combos you're gonna be looking for after Sour Spot Dare just can't spike anymore. And it's pretty convenient because around the time Sour Spot Dare just stops comboing in general, that's around the percent you can start grounded stage spiking people with the Sweet Spot Dare. I should, however, mention other stages with this move, but before I moved on from this move, I had to mention a combo that, or not a combo, but a little setup that I've seen on the internet from a good friend of mine by the name of Damien, or I don't know why I'm saying your real name, dude, but he goes by Alpha Toad in Smash tournaments. But thank you, Damien, for showing me this. I definitely didn't consider it as an option until I saw it, but it's definitely one to consider with up air, because with down tilt, which I guess I could have mentioned in my down tilt section, but that's whatever. Down tilt into falling up air on platforms is a thing at lower percentages because of course the down tilt pops the opponent right above Pit for the perfect combo range, like I said a million times already. But yeah, as soon as you do so, you can just run off the platform, go for up air, and if you fast fall it, the opponent gets struck down, and then you can sort of do whatever you want to him. I'm not gonna say the opponent's completely helpless, like it doesn't really leave them in a whole lot of hit stun or anything. And when testing this out, Mario sometimes landed either behind or in front of Pit, so it's a little tricky in that regard. But yeah, it's definitely an option to consider when looking for more setups with up air. And if you launch an opponent onto a platform and they miss their tech, right when they hit, or I should say, I was gonna say right when they hit the platform, but I think it's right after they stop bouncing and then land back on the platform is when you can go for a falling up air and just lock them. I think the timing was a little freer, if that's a word, in Smash 4. But it's still a thing in this game, thankfully. I had a little trouble figuring out, but once I threw Mario onto a platform and realized, oh, you have to wait till after he stops bouncing, then yeah, that's when you can go for a falling up air into whatever. Alright, and finally, Pit's last aerial we're going to cover is forward air. So right off the bat, you're not going to be starting off a whole lot of combos with forward air. As you can see, I'm trying to use it on Mario, and he's just a bit too short for even short hop forward air to really hit him at all. So it's definitely a move to use on bigger, taller characters. So yeah, it's definitely going to be something you need to set up with either a grab and a throw, or like I mentioned a million times, down tilt. The drag down or fast fall is still a thing. I say fast fall, but I really mean just jumping and then falling with the forward air, as opposed to just short hopping with it and then fast falling after the last hit. Yeah, it's definitely kind of a thing. It's definitely a thing, but I'm not entirely too keen on whether or not it's safer than just regular short hop forward air. If not, it definitely could just be a lesser option, but not a lesser option, but it's just, it just won't be as safe. And then you have to start thinking of other options to go for afterwards. But if you do get it, it definitely can be a thing. Me personally, I have to figure out how easily actual people can just jump or get out of it. But earlier, as I was talking about with down tilt forward air, on taller characters, if you are able to actually land the short hop forward air, best follow up in my opinion is definitely down tilt. It's pretty much the only grounded follow up you're gonna get. Grab kind of works. It's just a bit different than having them already in the air or having some prior damage on them and then going for grab. But it's like I said, it's still kind of there. Now, similar to when I was talking about down tilt earlier, how I believe short hop forward air is the best follow up after down tilt. It's kind of vice versa with just short hop forward air. If you're fighting a big or a tall character, you definitely just want to go for down tilt, in my opinion. It's basically the quickest option, and it keeps the opponent set up for even more combos. You can kind of go for grab, but it's a little awkward to get on characters after you just hit them, and then if they have a fast enough move like Mario Nair, or if they air dodge, it can be a little weird. But in my opinion, down tilt's definitely the best follow up. And now that I'm thinking about it, I guess I did kind of have this video in a weird order. Maybe I could have covered grabs or aerials first. Ground attacks. Covering ground attacks first, I guess. I felt like let's stay on the ground first and then go into the air and then get to his grabs. But at this point, I guess you guys kind of already know what to do after moves like a down tilt or forward air, or anything that I've tried and explained already as far as the ground moves. So yeah, if you get a short hop forward air in neutral and get a down tilt afterwards, I basically already explained how to follow up on that, so I don't want to repeat myself and make the video too long for you guys. So yeah, with that, I'll just say, at lower percentages, forward air, short hop forward air, best follow up for that is definitely down tilt. And as far as percentages where it stops working, I'm definitely gonna say, around like the 40, maybe the 50% range. I was trying it out on Bayonetta, and it definitely doesn't really combo into another aerial. Really, I don't think it combos into another aerial at any percentage, at least by itself, whenever you use it outside of a grab or down tilt setup. But yeah, it can sort of combo into dash attack at least, so that's all good. Alright, we finally reached the grab segment, and first we're just going to start with down throw. Pit's best combo throw back in the last game. And there's a few more options in this game, his new down tilt and whatnot, but For the most part, if you actually get a grab, it's still pretty much the same thing that you're going to be looking for. It's just down throw. If you get down throw, or you get a grab at low percents, down throw is going to be this combo tool pretty much all the way up until they're ready to die to after a ledge, or you're like confident in throwing them upwards and juggling them with arrows and up air and all that nonsense. So yeah. So like all the other segments, we're gonna start with we're gonna start with the grounded options you can get out of the whatever I'm explaining. In this case, down throw. So pretty much the same across the board. Like down throw, grounded options you can get up smash and up tilt. That's pretty much the two run of the mill you're gonna get like off of anything that sends the opponent upwards and away, and you just want to kind of stay grounded and then hit them. But down throw up tilt isn't bad. It does allow you to go for up air, which from there you can use to start juggling certain characters and then just rack up more percentage. And down throw up smash has always been pretty much Pit's like go-to basic bread and butter combo tool. It is something you kind of want to refrain from, like towards the kill percentages, because you do want up smash to be fresh, or at least as fresh as possible, so that when you do go for it, it actually kills. And in this game, thank Christ, people aren't like falling out of it left and right to the point where you got a whole video showing you how to spike with it if you like miss the second or third hit, or you can like intentionally do it. So yeah, it's no longer a thing. I guess I don't know. I'm definitely not one of the people that miss having a spike out of up smash because of how bad it was. But yeah, I guess that is sort of a loss of an option in that regard. But yeah. The first area I'm going to cover after the down throw is neutral air. And I'm going to kind of categorize these like I've been doing with the last move. So, for instance, instead of, down throw neutral air, which I'm sure anyone and their grandma can do, I'll just refer to the follow-up after neutral air as, in this instance, down throw, nair, and forward air. Okay, so right off the bat, I'm going to just be super lazy with this section, as I've kind of already explained to you guys like what to do after ground attacks and aerials. All the throws are good for is just setting that. They're basically just another option of setting that stuff up. And I'll still go over the options that you can get after a certain throw. But like once I get to it, like for instance, what we're seeing right here is down throw, short out neutral air. I don't want to, keep the video too long for you guys and just explain all over again, what to do after down throw neutral air. Actually, not down throw neutral air, but, just raw neutral air as opposed to, down throw neutral air. It's pretty much the same thing. It's not really doing anything except adding on. As you see, down throw does what, like 12? Yeah, it does 12%. So, yeah, that's pretty much the only thing you need to know. But yes, I guess in retrospect, I did kind of do this video backwards, but I mean, it's like Sakurai says, there's no correct way to play this game. Am I right? Now, I definitely don't want to undermine the importance of the grabs. They're just, in my opinion, another way to win neutral, or threaten the opponent, because you could, in theory, throw out the aerials and attacks all day until the opponent blocks. So that's just the way I think of it, at least. And then if they do, you can get a grab and then pretty much start setting up the same things from there. But obviously throws have different purposes. So down throw, for instance, just sends them kind of at the same angle as down tilt, and I'll just go through the different angles of the different throws as I move down the list. Any down throw combos are pretty much going to be the same thing as any of the like aerial starters and the ground starters that I've shown you guys before. But of course, you're not going to get like down throw, down tilt, up smash, for instance. Like obviously the only grounded options down throw is going to combo off of is up smash as opposed to down tilt. But yeah. In Pitt's case, it's important because it sets the opponent up perfectly for up air and forward air, two moves you previously couldn't really get out of just using them raw and neutral. So those are the main two moves that I'll go over combos for, and like what's true and how to do them. Now, the first aerial I'm gonna cover is forward air. Now, down throw forward air is a move you definitely want to fast fall, or I say a move, but you don't want to just fast fall the combo. Just fast fall the forward air after the down throw, and that way you can follow up with another grab. And it's sort of a chain grab series that was also in Smash 4. It's a little bit better in this game because the new, I won't say because of the new mechanics, but I guess the fact that the game engine's a bit faster and there's more hits done. But yeah, this combo only really works at really low percentages. As you can see, I'm trying it out on Mario, and I'm only able to get two down throw, not two, but just one down throw into short out forward air into another grab before it's pretty much untrue after that. And I tried this on other characters like DK. It can work sometimes, but for me to go for the fastest immediate grab, most of the time just whiffed before they landed. And yeah, you definitely don't want that, because obviously if you went for the fastest grab possible and it still didn't work, then you got any human players just gonna try to jump out of that, and from there it just won't be true. So now, down throw neutral air, you can pretty much do the same things I was showing you what to do out of just raw neutral air, and it's about the same percent yield as for when the combo stops working, at least on Mario anyways. Now, for down throw neutral air, it's pretty much the same thing when it comes to combos, and it's almost the same thing when it comes to the percent yield when it stops working. As you can see here, I'm doing down throw neutral air on a CPU Mario at like 70%, but as you can see, he's not really trying to DI out or anything. Like, if this were a human player, I'm sure if they're a mashing jump or trying to do something, I definitely wouldn't be getting a whole full hop neutral air. But down throw full hop neutral air does extend the life of this combo just a bit. But at that point, if you're going for a full hop neutral air, if they already have that much damage for you to go for a full hop, you're not really getting any follow-ups that are true afterwards. I haven't really tested it out on platforms, unfortunately, but if you do a down throw full hop neutral air and you land on a platform, you might be in position to get something out of it. But for the most part, yeah, most people can just jump out of it and escape. And it's pretty much the same thing for down throw forward air. It has a bit higher of a yield because of the fact that you're moving forward and Pitt's thrusting the forward right in front of him, as opposed to just right around him. So that is kind of a thing. But as you can see, I think this Mario would have been able to jump out if it was DIing out. But yeah, this is just me trying to showcase it to you guys. Down throw down air is pretty much in the same boat. You just pretty much do what I was showing you guys earlier, I'm not telling you to do what you guys can think of. I just want to show you guys what I came up with and some of Pitt's best options that I found pretty consistent as I was playing through Smash 4. And in this case with down throw, it's pretty much the same options, only better. So with down throw down air, the biggest thing is definitely down throw short out forward air, which allows you to re-grab them and down throw them again, which after the short out down air follow-up, they'll be in pretty much the perfect percent range for you to be able to go for another air jump down there. And I would say another short hop, but obviously you can't short hop or full hop double jumps. Pitt has the curse and the blessing of having short jumps, kind of like Meta Knight. His short jumps doesn't really help him in his horizontal aerial movement like that, but it does allow him to extend his combo game. Of course, just being able to jump, but not too far away from the opponent, leaving you in perfect spots to just keep comboing people. But yeah, once you do get it, it's pretty much the same follow-ups as I was showing you earlier. And of course, you also have the option of down throw And this is assuming they're at 0, but like down throw, short out, forward air, regrab, and then if you can do the reverse or the raw there, that's all the more better. But what I wanted to show you guys right here was just the fact that down throw sets up for the perfect position if they're off stage. Really, whether they're on stage or off stage, down throw can set the opponent in the perfect position for you to be able to kind of wait on your dare. In this case, you wait on it so you don't get the sour spot and actually get the sweet spot to spike them, and then from there you can just start harassing them off stage, maybe able to spike them again if your timing's good. Now, sour spot there is still the better combo option, but spiking the opponent, of course, as I said earlier, leads to stuff like sour spot bear. If you have them off stage, you can spike them and start harassing them, and then from there it's kind of just up to you basically. Like I said, it doesn't really combo at the higher percentages. It kind of has the same yield as what I was showing you guys earlier, as far as down tilt down air. Yeah, if one of the things I like to do out of down throw and smash forward was definitely just read someone's air dodge. It's a bit different in this game because smash forward, they air dodge and stay in place, and then you could read it, probably punish it with another down air. But in this game, since they have directional air dodges, it is a little harder for like that setup in particular. But yeah, obviously, they're still going to be in far more of a disadvantage. So I guess it doesn't really matter, one makes up for the other. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. But now that we're done with the, 3 main basic form of attacks, and or I should say the 2 main forms of attacks, and then obviously the grab options, I'll talk a little bit about Pits and Dark Pits specials and what makes them different and how they can affect their combo games. So y'all may have noticed that whenever I like to carry an opponent off stage horizontally to the side blast zones, or just any time I was using some sort of linear combo, I was using Dark Pit, and that's because you could end a lot of strings or combos with just side B. And if you're using side B off stage, it has a much better chance of killing than Pits. And that's mainly because of the fact that Dark Pit side B, a move you can end a lot of strings / combos with, sends the opponent right to the blast zone, as opposed to Pits, who sends them upwards. And Pits combo game really isn't, you really can't get a whole lot of doing anything vertically. It's going to be more linear than anything. There's one little cheeky setup that I saw a lot in Smash 4, like combo videos and highlight reels. I tried doing it myself. It's not really for me. Like, it's a little tricky to do, but basically it's like you footstool the opponent, and immediately after the footstool, you want to get a sour spot dare, which at a higher percentage will send the opponent flying, and then after that footstool, you're almost at the same level with them as far as being in the air and whatnot, and then you can side B them like really close to the blast zones with Pit, and it'll most likely kill. But me personally, I tried it. It's a little too inconsistent for me. But credit to Noob Temo for this little highlight reel right here. Sorry if I butchered your name, but it's definitely another channel you guys might want to go check out if you want to learn more about Pit in general, or use like a character like I do. But I'll link this channel in the description. Now, one of the terms I hear commonly used to describe one of Pit's combos is Wall of Pain, which is basically when you like carry somebody all the way off stage with just one move, or in Pit's case, his forward air. And it definitely applies to a character like Jigglypuff more. It can just has way more aerial drift, even more jumps, and can just abuse her highly disjointed forward air and knockback to just like in the fact that it's a single hit, just carry the opponent all the way over to the side blast zones and basically kill him. Pit kind of had the same thing in PM, where you often see Armada like just basically forward air, and if he couldn't get a forward air, or if the forward air sent them too far afterwards, or it could be the first or second one, it really doesn't matter. But if either one set them too far, he could just like arrow, and then basically just go for another forward air after that. And I guess that's what people use to refer to that combo was Wall of Pain. But
it's kind of in this game. Like I've seen that one combo on Twitter that everybody was talking about, but I'm not entirely sure how true it is. But I think to do it in this game, you definitely want to get the full hop forward air, which really only works on certain characters. Like I was trying to get out on Mario, and it hit sometimes. Like if I timed the forward air correctly, but you have to be almost like perfect with it. I won't say frame perfect, but it definitely just works better on taller or bigger characters in general. If you want to do like a full hop forward air and carry them off stage after a down throw, then yeah, that's also an option. Down throw back air, as I said earlier, is in my opinion more of a kill setup, but it definitely isn't an option to roll out. There are some unique properties to it, similar to down air with you being able to choose between the sour spot and the sweet spot. I say choose, like it's not like you can actively choose it, but it's just something you have to kind of time and space properly. But yeah, you can do stuff like down throw, uh, raw sweet spot bear into sour spot, and the best part, of course, about the sour spot bear is the fact that it basically sends the opponent right above pit for another sort of free follow up, and from there you can kind of just do whatever you want. And last but not least is down throw up air, which, as I've said before, it's not really a move you can combo very much afterwards. At least if you get the last hit. Like if the last hit connects, then it just sends the opponent upwards. And yeah, sure they're in a bad position for you to be able to juggle them. Not in a bad position for like you to be able to juggle them, but they're in a bad spot because you don't want to be above anyone in this game, and then you can start juggling them. But for the most part, you're not really gonna get another follow up like the other aerials. But with down throw, what makes it special is, of course, the fact that, like any other of his multi-hit moves, you can do a drag down. But the best part about the drag down on up air is that it kind of just sets the opponent right in front of it with no no cooldown animation that the other aerials kind of have. But it's basically just down throw, short up air, and once you connect the up air, you really like want to fast fall it as fast as you can. Like not as fast as you can. Like if you do it too quick, you might do a rising short hop up air, which is definitely what you don't want for this combo. What you want is sort of to just throw them, hop up, and input up air like after you jump. But you want to do it quick enough to where you don't get the rising short hop up there, and you don't want to do it late enough to where the opponent can just escape. The timing's pretty strict, but once you do get it, you can pretty much just chain grab them damn near. The main cons to it, I really couldn't figure out like what are the main factors that make characters fall down either behind or in front of pit after the fast fall, but yeah, that was the main issue I had when trying this combo out, was just the fact that I was fast falling after the up air, and I thought I'd be in front of Mario, but Mario just ended up behind me somehow. So that's the only real constants to this combo. It's not the most consistent thing in the world, but it is still an option that I just didn't want to ignore. I thought I'd share it with you guys. But the best part about down throw up air is that it works longer than any of his other like aerials after the down throw. Like I said earlier, down throw neutral air is pretty it's pretty good like at early percentages, but like I said, once you get to the 50 maybe 70% mark, that's where it stops being true even with the full hop. However, if you buffer full hop in this game, you have a really good chance of hitting the up air, and if not, even still, like it's just such a it reaches right above pit, and then once you have that momentum going, it's not that hard to really connect it after the down throw, even at the later percents like 80 and 90 on mid range. As for back throw, it's really not the best combo tool. In fact, it's really only viable at like really low percentages, and even then, like nothing's really entirely true out of it. But the two main options you can go for after a back throw would be dash attack and down tilt. And what you really want to do with the down tilt is have it spaced at max range, so you have the best chance possible of the opponent being unable to just escape willy-nilly. And me personally, since it's now a kill option in this game as opposed to I guess a neutral breaker than it was in Smash 4,
I like to keep the dash attack fresh. So yeah, in this case for me, main follow up would be the down tilt. But of course, if you do just go for a back throw, you want to have them off stage, or like you really, yeah, I say have them off stage. Like that'd be the main position to use it, like throw them off stage. But once they're off stage, of course, if you don't have enough stage to run on, you can't really follow up on it. But yeah, like that'd be the main option I'd go for out of it. But like I said, not really too big of a combo throw. Nothing you can really do to follow up with it. It's just kind of there, and unfortunately, it's not his most damaging throw. It'd be a little different, like if it did more percent than say down throw, which is 12. I believe up throw is 13, which is the most, and after that back throw is kind of pointless. It doesn't really do anything unless you're on ledge and you have your back turned and you just want to get the opponent off stage, which is pretty big for Pit, at least more so than Dark Pit, since you know once they're off stage you can start harassing with arrows. But yeah, that's just about it, honestly. It's pretty much the same story for forward throw, but unlike back throw, it's actually useful in the fact that it gets a kill. So me personally, I'd just rather not use it, keep it fresh, and when I need it, you know, it'll actually kill it. It'll actually kill it at an early percentage. But yeah, it's kind of in the same boat. Once you throw the opponent, you just kind of your only available options are dash attack and down tilt. Nothing else you can really do unless the opponent for some reason is DIing in. But yeah, that's about it. And last but not least is Pit's up throw, which has no true follow-ups to be completely honest with you guys, but it does set the opponent up perfectly for juggles as you would have guessed, and at really low percentages you can kind of go for up air. I've been trying that for years in Smash 4, and I've yet to try it on too many opponents in this game. Like I mainly just rely on down throw, but yeah, it's kind of in the same boat, honestly. Like once you get the up throw, you have a very small window to actually get anything out of it, like up air, for instance, which is pretty much the only move it'll combo after. But yeah, with that said, it's not really much to cover with the move. You just use it to set people above you to juggle and maybe get an up air at those really low percentages. And as for the arrows, obviously Pit's curve better, easier to get people with, and Dark Pit in this game actually has much more knockback and much more damage. So like if you're playing it in neutral against say a projectile heavy character like Snake or Link, and you want to be able to throw out projectiles here and there, especially with the arrow having less lag on the ground than it did in Smash 4. You do get better trades off of Dark Pits, so it is better in that regard. I have tried in the past to go Pit, maybe keep myself in the air a bit and be able to maneuver my arrow through their projectiles, but honestly that's just a lot of work. It's definitely not worth it, and at least in Smash 4 that's what I was doing, because Dark Pit's arrows didn't do that much more damage. It was probably like 1 or 2%, but in this game, yeah, they do way more. And in this case, when it comes to their combos, Pit does have this slight advantage whenever you're trying to carry someone off stage or just have someone in the air in general. You can use the arrow to basically just force frame traps, and then if you're able to follow the opponent, you can just punish whatever they do, whether it be an air dodge, any type of action that's punishable or whatever. But in Dark Pit's case, if you're able to have the opponent next to the blast zone, whether it be the side or top blast zone, he's definitely more advantageous, because if you actually do connect that arrow, which isn't that hard in the game, where you only have one air dodge and you can just hold the charge for however long you want, etc. And yeah, if you do actually get it, it has a much higher chance of actually killing. As you can see in this example right here, I up throw with both of the Pits, and sure, Pit's up throw arrow can kill like at really high percentages. Percentages you would rather go for something like an F throw anyway. Dark Pit actually has the advantage of being able to kill with arrows with the opponent being like even lower to the blast zone, so you don't have to have the opponent at as high of a percentage to actually kill with this said, I won't say combo, but setup, we'll call it that, since the opponent obviously can't air dodge or frame trap them, etc. Alright y'all, thanks so much for just sticking with me throughout this video. Can't tell you how happy I am to be finished with it finally. But not that I didn't enjoy the process, I definitely did. I just know it was a lot, covering every single move in the character's arsenal, and basically like what you can do afterwards and whatnot. But I tried to keep it short, like by the time we got to the graph section and whatnot. So hope I didn't bore you guys for too long, just sitting here talking over some footage. But I definitely have fun making this myself. But if this video does well, I'll continue videos like this more often. And sorry to my any of my subscribers that are expecting more uploads from me. I know my last one was like 2 months ago where I said I'll be uploading more frequently, but at least it wasn't another 2 years, right? So appreciate you guys for sticking with me. And as always, any feedback is greatly appreciated. And if you enjoyed the video, definitely share it. I'd like more people to see this video. Hopefully we can start seeing Pit more in Smash Ultimate. Definitely need to see him win more top 8s, top 32s, whatever. I don't want a whole repeat of Smash 4, but granted, he's a much different character, so we'll see how he develops throughout the meta. I know I need to learn a lot of matchups myself, so maybe once I do, I'll start making videos on just matchups with Pit and like how to handle certain matchups as Pit. I don't know why I'm repeating myself, but anyway, I've been recording too long, so it's whatever. Just happy to be able to help some of you guys. If this does help you, you can let me know in the comments. And as always, thanks so much again for watching. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, all that good shit, and I will catch y'all on my next video. Peace.